From gold to paper, from paper to tokenization, the world prepares for its digital rebirth. Across 2,000 years, empires rose to heights that seemed immortal and then vanished as if a trapdoor opened beneath them. Not because stronger armies broke their gates or genius rivals outmaneuvered them, but because they weakened the one thing that holds a civilization together: trust in its economy. Rome, Spain, Britain, and now, America. Each followed the same cycle. Different faces, different years, but same pattern. It rarely starts on the battlefield. It starts in the mint, the treasury, the central bank, where rulers reach for easy power and call it policy. Currencies are diluted, promises multiply, faith in the elites is asked to carry more than metal ever did. This isn't just economics, it's the story of belief, how nations are built by trust and undone by illusion. From silver to gold, from paper to tokenization. This is the last empire, the great crossing to tokenization. Rome's greatness was minted in silver. The denarius, born in the year 211 before Christ, carried nearly 4.5 grams of purity. Purity bred faith, faith bred trade, and trade built an empire that bound 60 million people from Britannia to Egypt. But empire is expensive. By Nero's reign, legions stretched across continents and the treasury bled. In 64 after Christ, the silver was trimmed. Same coin, same name, less silver. After Nero, others followed. By the middle of the 3rd century, silver content had collapsed toward a sheen on base metal. Prices rose 50-fold. Farmers refused debased pay. Soldiers demanded better money. Citizens bartered. The mechanism was simple but fatal. The name stayed, the silver left. When trust died, so did the empire's heartbeat. Rome's empire of silver became an empire of dust. 12 centuries later, Spain found a mountain of silver in the Andes, Cerro Rico. For a century, it supplied roughly half the world's silver and made Spain the richest power on earth. The Spanish dollar became the first true global currency. The world's trade pulsed to its rhythm. But wealth without work is illusion. Silver flooded markets, prices rose, and the real economy shrank. King Philip II built cathedrals and financed endless wars with borrowed treasure. And when silver couldn't pay his debts, the crown forged copper vellon, decreeing it equal to silver, but it wasn't. Excess supply devalued the very metal that made Spain strong. Confidence collapsed. Good silver vanished from circulation. Trade froze like a winter sea. Spain kept going broke again and again, starting in 1557 because it spent too much on wars and its money lost value. Even all the silver in the world couldn't fix the problem or make people trust the money again. When a country thinks having more means being rich, it's really just fooling itself. It looks rich, but it's broke in truth. Britain rose on discipline. For 2 centuries, the pound sterling, Britain's national currency, was a promise backed by gold. About 7 grams of certainty for every note. Gold gave order to money, and order built trust. From Bombay to Boston, merchants trusted it without question. The gold standard anchored Britain's currency and made London the financial power of the world. Then 1914 arrived, and war arrived with it. To pay for the fight, full gold convertibility was effectively suspended. Paper money replaced gold, and promises multiplied. After the war, in 1925, Winston Churchill restored the pound to gold, but at its old pre-war value, a rate that ignored the inflation of the previous decade. Exports collapsed, deflation bit, unemployment spread like fog. By 1931, the illusion snapped. Convertibility was suspended, the pound floated, and the empire of credit cracked under the weight of its own promises. The Second World War struck before Britain could recover. Already deep in debt, the nation printed money again. Inflation returned, masked by illusion of unity. By 1945, national debt had reached roughly 270% of gross domestic product, a burden no empire could carry. Gold was gone, industries exhausted, colonies unsettled. The empire that once financed the world now survived on American loans. The Marshall Plan kept it breathing, but confirmed the truth. Britain was no longer the lender, it was the borrower. By the mid-1940s, when the pound fell, the dollar rose. The center of finance shifted across the Atlantic. The world's reserve of trust had changed hands. The transfer of power was complete. Under the Bretton Woods framework, the dollar was pegged to gold at $35 an ounce and became the new anchor of global reserves. America's story turned on the same hinge. In 1933, amid the twilight of the Great Depression, gold, the metal of faith, was summoned home. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102, commanding citizens to surrender their gold in exchange for paper money. He called it a rescue, a relief for families crushed by hunger and fear. But in fact, it was control disguised as salvation. For every ounce of gold, Americans received $20.67 in paper currency and 1 year to comply. Once the nation's gold was secured in government vaults, the United States quietly repriced it to $35 per ounce. Overnight, the paper value of its reserve rose by 70%. The people lost their most reliable store of value, while the elites gained even more power. Behind patriotic slogans lay an older pattern: create the problem, watch panic rise, and then sell the solution. Out of war's ashes rose a new order: Bretton Woods. The world's currencies now orbited one star, the American dollar, backed by gold in Fort Knox. For a generation, confidence seemed infinite. But empires don't fade quietly, they bleed in deficits. The 1960s brought the Vietnam War, expansive domestic programs, and a flood of dollars no longer matched by gold. France, under Charles de Gaulle, demanded payment in gold, sending the warship Colbert to claim its precious metal. One by one, other nations followed. The world was calling America's bluff. When the gold drained away from Fort Knox and faith was all that remained, President Richard Nixon made his move. On a Sunday evening in 1971, he announced a temporary suspension of convertibility. Temporary became permanent. The gold window closed and paper faith took center stage. With the presses freed from restraint, the Federal Reserve began creating money from thin air. The printing machines roared to life, flooding the economy with paper promises. At first, prosperity seemed to bloom, markets rose, credit expanded, confidence returned. But beneath the surface, the value of each dollar quietly eroded. Inflation crept in, prices climbed, and the illusion of endless growth took hold. The dollar kept its name but lost its soul. Paper money became belief, and belief became currency. What began as an economy of gold had become a theology of paper, a faith sustained by debt, not by gold. The government had mastered the alchemy of control and manipulation. Create the problem, watch panic rise, and then offer the solution and call it stability. And on every note, printed in solemn letters, were the words, "In God we trust." But it was not faith in God they were asking for. It was faith in governments. The people worked, fought, paid bills, and built their lives upon a promise no longer anchored to reality, a creed of paper, sanctified by the illusion of divine trust. In the absence of gold, belief itself became the new standard of value. Most people hear the word government and think of presidents, laws, and the people who run a country. But the word itself has a much older story, one that reveals what governments have really done throughout history. It begins thousands of years ago with the ancient Greek word kybernao, which meant to steer a ship. It wasn't about ruling people. It was about guiding something through dangerous waters. Later, the Romans turned that word into gubernare, meaning to control, to direct, to steer. Then, as the language evolved into Old French, it became government or gouvernement, meaning the act of ruling or guiding people's mind. From the very beginning, the word did not simply mean leaders or officials. It meant the ones who steer, the ones who guide the direction of society. But over time, something deeper happened. Governments learned to steer something far more powerful than laws or borders. They learned to steer the mind. And they don't always need force to do it. They can guide people with stories, with news, with fear, with hope, with repetition, with the messages they choose to amplify and the ones they choose to hide. So when people say the government controls the mind, they don't mean mind control like in movies. They mean that governments shape the way people see the world. They influence what people trust, what they fear, what they believe, and even what they question. In a way, they steer not just the country, but the collective consciousness of everyone living inside it. History moves in cycles. Empires obey a hidden pattern. If you boil down the story of empires, you get the 7 stages: dominance, overextension, deficit spending, debasement, inflation, loss of confidence, and finally collapse or reset. Rome completed the cycle in 5 centuries, Spain in 2, Britain in 1. America's clock moves faster, compressed by technology and artificial intelligence. The rulers of this world have been repeating the same pattern for millennia. History isn't only political, it's cyclical. They raise empires to greatness, make them the center of the world, and then watch them fall. Because everything that rises must one day fall. It's the law of polarity, light and dark, positive and negative, rich and poor, power and weakness, the eternal dance of balance. Empires rise by human pride, but they fall by divine design, a reminder that no kingdom built on illusion can stand forever. As written in the holy texts, Daniel chapter 2 verse 21 says, "He changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings." And Isaiah chapter 40 verses 23 through 24, "He brings princes to nothing and makes the rulers of the earth as emptiness." And final Job chapter 12 verse 23, "He makes nations great and destroys them." The pattern remains eternal: creation and collapse, ascent and decline, the cosmic heartbeat of empires echoing the rhythm of heaven itself. Across the world of empires and currencies, a new transformation is underway. The next empire will not be forged in gold or ink, but built in blockchain. It will be digital, programmable, and borderless, a new form of money woven into the very fabric of global power. Central banks are testing digital currencies, legislators are drafting the laws, and the world moves again toward a new anchor, this time not of metal, but of tokenization. They will, of course, try to instill fear, to make you doubt this new form of money. They'll say things like, "Bitcoin is for criminals," or "digital currencies are for money laundering," just as Larry Fink once claimed. But history always follows the same pattern. First, they ignore it, then they attack it, then they regulate it, and finally they adopt it. We now stand in the era of regulation, and once the Clarity Act is passed, next comes mass adoption to full tokenization. In 2025, President Donald Trump signed the Genius Act, a law to merge the old financial order with the new. Its purpose? To bridge the paper dollar with stablecoins, RLUSD, USDT, and USDC, and guide America across the digital threshold. What began as rebellion had become the architecture of the next economy. For the first time, stablecoins backed by United States assets entered the national framework. The message was clear: digital money was no longer rebellion. It was the next evolution of trust. Across the Atlantic, Christine Lagarde announced that the digital euro had entered its final phase, with a full rollout targeted by 2029. For the first time in history, every major power on Earth was digitizing its currency, each racing to command value in a world that no longer needs paper. But every cycle ends with a new anchor. Gold once grounded the British pound, and later, the paper dollar. Now the coming digital age demands a new foundation, a reserve backed not by promises, but by tangible trust. When this transition is complete, the United States may once again return to its ancient foundation, gold, but this time, it will not be pegged to paper. It will be linked to a digital bridge connecting every market on Earth, a system capable of uniting global finance through instant movement of value. When regulation brings clarity and international systems align, the circle will close, merging the physical and the digital into one unified standard of trust. Gold and tokenization, the old element of Earth and the new element of blockchain, will peg into a single economic heartbeat. Power will renew itself through this alchemy, not in gold, not in ink, but in digitization. A system built for instant settlement and cross-border payments, allowing value to travel around the globe. Across the world as easily and as quickly as information itself. And behind this new digital highway stands the technology engineered precisely for this purpose. Ripple's XRP, the chosen bridge asset built to connect every market on the planet and to lead the next global economy into its new era. Blockchain technology and digital money will form the living cells of the nervous system of the coming age. A network where information and value flow together like impulses through a global consciousness. Each verified transaction will act like a heartbeat of trust, each connection like a synapse between nations, institutions, and souls. What once was ruled by paper and decree will now be sustained by code and transparency. A living, breathing organism of truth, pulsing with the rhythm of the Aquarian age. Every chapter of human history is ruled by a constellation, a new vibration that shapes how humans think, live, and believe. These yugas ages last about 2,160 years, like the turning of a great cosmic clock. Around 2,000 years ago, the sun began to rise in the constellation of Pisces during the spring equinox. That marked the beginning of the age of Pisces, a time of faith, religion, and belief. It was an age of great devotion, but also of illusion. People were taught to look for truth outside of themselves, in temples, in leaders, and icons. And power became centered in churches, kingdoms, and institutions, and look for God outside of us. But the stars are shifting once more. After more than 2 millennia, the Earth is slowly entering a new age, the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is the water bearer, the one who pours knowledge into the world. It represents truth, awareness, and collective understanding. This new era is not the end of time, but the end of illusion, the beginning of an age where wisdom flows freely and people learn to think, connect, and awaken for themselves. Invest your energy and your wealth wisely. As we enter the age of Aquarius, those who align with the current of changes will inherit the abundance of a new dawn, the greatest wealth transfer in human history. As Jesus said in Luke chapter 22, verse 10 foretold, "And he said unto them, Behold, when you entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entered in. And ye shall say unto the goodman of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? The man bearing a pitcher of water is widely understood by esoteric and astrological interpreters as a reference to Aquarius, the water bearer, symbolizing knowledge, enlightenment, and the coming of a new spiritual era. The upper room represents higher consciousness, the place within oneself where divine understanding is awakened. Jesus, speaking at the threshold of his own transformation, directs his disciples to prepare for a Passover, a transition, or crossing over, not just from Egypt or sin, but from the old age Pisces into the new Aquarius. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, robotics, and blockchain technology now form a new tetrapillar of power. Innovation, consciousness, and collective intelligence intertwine. Nations that master these elemental fields will shape the centuries to come. Humanity stands upon a narrow bridge between two worlds, one forged of industry and paper, the other of innovation, digital currencies, and cosmic awareness. And remember, if you break apart the word history, it becomes his story. Know your history, and you can foresee your future. For with elevated consciousness, one can read the cycles of time, just as the sages and prophets of the past once did. What is happening today with blockchain, AI, and the Internet of Value are not coincidences. As Albert Einstein said, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. These technologies are not accidents. They are instruments of an Aquarian civilization now on the rise, from hierarchy to network, from control to unity, from illusion to illumination, from religion to awakening. Humanity ascends into nirvana, the new age of enlightenment. The empires of the past collapsed under greed. The civilization of Aquarius will rise through knowledge, transparency, and unity. The formula never changes. Reduce metal, expand money, inflate prices, lose trust, collapse or reset systems. Rome's silver faded, Spain's treasure inflated, Britain's gold dissolved, America's paper multiplied. The story was never about money. It was always about trust. Because when faith in money dies, the empire that issued it follows. Every empire believed it was different. Every empire was wrong, because the laws of economics are as absolute as the laws of physics. You cannot print prosperity. You cannot borrow forever. And you cannot debase your currency without consequence. But humanity, in its innocence, keeps trying. We are a kind and trusting species, good-hearted by nature, and because of that, rulers and empires have long exploited our faith. They twist our goodwill into obedience until illusion feels safer than truth. If we do not awaken, history will keep repeating its lessons in harsher tones. As the philosopher said, the only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. Those who fail to learn are doomed to repeat it. Those who do learn are doomed to watch everyone else repeat it. At the heart of every collapse lies one constant, the one thing that never changes: greed. It is the oldest virus in civilization, silent, systemic, self-replicating. The pattern will always repeat until we awaken and become aware. But awareness is evolution, and evolution has already begun. The next stage of global economy is tokenization, a world where everything of value exists transparently on the blockchain, where truth is verified, not trusted, and where humanity may finally remember what every empire forgot, that trust, once lost, can only be restored through truth. They told humanity to look for God in temples, in the heavens, and in books written by other men. But the timeless, radiant truth was never outside of us. It was within us. The Christ was never meant to be worshipped as a man on a distant throne, but awakened as a state of consciousness inside every soul. The age of Pisces taught us to look upward for salvation, to seek divinity in icons and institutions. But the age of Aquarius calls us inward, to awaken the divine mind within, the Christ consciousness that connects us all. As Carl Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Christ is not a name, it's a state of frequency, an awareness that sees beyond duality, recognizing the unity of spirit and matter, the divine spark in every living being. When the scriptures say, Christ is in you, the hope of glory, they weren't describing an external savior. They were pointing to the kingdom within you. Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 7 reminds us, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not cling to equality with God, but emptied himself." To empty oneself is to transcend ego, to release illusion, and return to divine awareness. And 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 16 declares, "For who has known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ." It doesn't say follow the mind of Christ, it says we have it. The divine intelligence lives within us, waiting to be remembered. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 gives us the path forward. "Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind." This is the alchemy of awakening, the transformation from egoic fear to divine vision. When the mind transforms, the world transforms. As above, so below. As within, so without. This is the truth hidden beneath centuries of dogma, that the Christ was never a person to be idolized, but a light to be realized. That heaven was never a distant realm beyond the stars, but a dimension within the heart. The ancients knew this secret. I speak from my heart to every living soul who hears these words. May this message find its way through every screen, every voice, and every heartbeat. Prepare yourself for the great crossing, the new Passover, for a time when truth and light will separate from illusion. Take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. Anchor yourself in love and authenticity, tone of the highest frequency of all, and above all, do good to others as you would wish them to do to you. For in kindness, we remember who we truly are. In love, we awaken, and in unity, we rise. Blockchain technology and digital money will form the living cells of the nervous system of the coming age, a network where information and value flow together like impulses through a global consciousness. Each verified transaction will act like a heartbeat of trust, each connection like a synapse between nations, institutions, and souls. What once was ruled by paper and decree will now be sustained by code and transparency. A living, breathing organism of truth, pulsing with the rhythm of the Aquarian age. And this, perhaps, is what the powerful have long hinted at when they spoke of a new world order, not merely a political vision, but the unconscious prophecy of a planetary transition, a new order of mind, energy, and information. What they named in shadow, the cosmos reveals in light. The world is not ending, it is transforming. The age of Aquarius is the true new world order, an age where knowledge flows like water, where hidden systems are revealed, and where humanity at last begins to awaken as one global consciousness. And in this unfolding chapter of human evolution, something extraordinary emerges. A bridge asset designed for a world built on transparency, Ripple XRP. Some say it was chosen by the beast, by the architects of the old financial system. But history shows a deeper pattern. What is forged by power can be used by providence. What is created for control can be transformed into liberation. XRP may well become the tool that carries humanity into the next era, a digital arc for a global economy that will shape the next 2,160 years. Chosen by the system, but used by God. He who knows the changes of the four yugas knows the wheel of time, Hindu tradition. If you're fascinated by this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Check out my other videos for more engaging history content, stories that remind us how the past, the stars, and the soul are all part of one great design. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay tuned for more cosmic insights. Goodbye for now.